Okay, so Unit 4 is on Washington, Jefferson, and the era of good feelings. So Washington's presidency was um, pretty uneventful. He did have a few minor hiccups, but he is the only person in American history to be unanimously elected president. But when he left office, his farewell address is famous. He gave some advice in his farewell address that we would have done well had we listened. One, he said, and let me back up. The tradition, it was never in the Constitution that a president could only serve 2 terms. That was a precedent set by Washington because he served 2 terms. So it was never like a rule that a president could only serve 2 terms. We just followed what Washington had done. So he gave two big pieces of advice. One, don't get any permanent alliances with other countries because we don't need to get drawn into their drama. And two, political parties, stay away from them because they'll tear our country apart. And we've seen this happen time and time again in our country. And he foresaw the future. So Adams comes after him. He only serves 1 term. He was not very popular. And then after that is Thomas Jefferson, and he is most famous for the Louisiana Purchase. And so you can click on this. This is a link to a video about the Louisiana Purchase. This is the one time where he was very big on following what the Constitution said. However, when it came to Louisiana Purchase, he didn't do that so much. Congress gave him basically $10 million to spend on this territory. It wasn't just Louisiana that we know today. It was a lot of land. We ended up paying about 3 cents an acre, which is pretty good. But Napoleon was like, no, I want 15 million. So he said, done. Now you have to understand, the president does not have money powers. It's not in his scope of powers within the Constitution. So when he basically negotiated to buy the Louisiana Territory for $5 million more than Congress had allotted him, he violated the Constitution. But like I said, it was a good deal. So we did explore west. Most famous would be Lewis and Clark and Sacagawea. This is Sacagawea and Lewis and Clark. And they went from Missouri all the way to the Pacific Ocean and back, and what would become the Oregon Trail. Just kind of looking at what's out there. We just bought all this land. We just, all of this stuff. Like, what's out here? We don't know any of this stuff. It's all uncharted territory. But so we want to know what kind of landforms, what mountains, rivers, what kind of vegetation, people, crops, animals, everything that's out there. So they did all of these things, and it was kind of they were mapping it out, plus they were talking to the Native Americans as they went, and recording all of the things that they were finding as they went. So we have the War of 1812. This is actually under Madison. It's called Madison's War. And during this, Andrew Jackson becomes, and we're finding this is America fighting Great Britain. We're beefing over various things. But Andrew Jackson becomes a war hero during the War of 1812, and the White House burns down. The British burned down the White House during the War of 1812, and the Star-Spangled Banner was written during the War of 1812 while Washington was burning. Francis Scott Key looked out his window, and while the whole city's on fire, the American flag is still fluttering in the wind, is still flying in the wind, and he found inspiration in that, and there is our Star-Spangled Banner. And this gives way to this era of good feelings, of intense nationalism and patriotism, because that's what really the War of 1812 really gave us, this sense of patriotism. and that is Unit 4.